Street winners. It is Tuesday, January the 7th. And if we take a look at where we are today in the Bloomberg app with the futures, we'll see that we are green on the screen heading into the day. We had a pretty good day yesterday, especially in the tech space. The tech stocks are selectively up this morning. Semiconductors did extremely well yesterday, as did some of the Mag 7 stocks. But today, we're seeing maybe less on the Mag 7 and more again on the semis. And a lot of that is due to CEO of NVDA, Jensen Huang, making a presentation at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, which kicked off today or yesterday in Las Vegas. It kicks off this week. I'm not sure exactly when, but it's in Las Vegas. And he made some announcements about a new NVIDIA chip, about some progress and future vision of automated driving and chips for that, as well as chips for robotics, and a lot of partnership announcements. And the semiconductor space with NVIDIA and some of its partners included in that space have just started to take off this morning. So let's turn our attention over to the Yahoo Finance app. And here you can see that yesterday, the Dow started off extremely strong, as did the S&P, and both kind of trickled off. The Dow ended up in the negative. The S&P 500 still positive by the end of the day, but not nearly as much as it was at the beginning. Crude yesterday, although you can't see it in the chart that I'm showing you here, crude was up significantly and then dropped down and became negative. So we'll have to see whether it does the same thing today, but it is back above $74 a barrel. So that's a good place for it to be. Would like to see that get closer to 80, but right now, 74 is where we're at. If we move further across the screen here, you can see the NASDAQ futures are up, but only slightly, so 24 points. It's not a huge amount, probably a quarter of a percent. And then you've got the VIX down below 16, which is a good indication, although there has been some change in thoughts and sentiment. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. And then the Canadian dollar got a little bit stronger yesterday with the announcement that Prime Minister Trudeau was stepping down, and there will be a new Liberal Party leadership race to replace him and likely head into an election in Canada. So that was some great news in Canada. He has definitely done some damage to our great country, and hopefully we can find a individual and a party that can turn things around and get spending in line and tax reductions in place like we're hearing about in the US, because things are just out of whack in our country. If we turn our attention to the lists in health and retail, we've got a little bit of green on the screen here. Lulu's up the most at almost $10. It had an amazing day yesterday, up 17. Again, nothing really driving that in terms of data, other than maybe expectations of what retail numbers are going to look like after the holiday season. We've got Walmart up into the 91s there, kind of hovering in that trading envelope that it's in. I don't see, until we have earnings and they have to be positive, I don't see there being a lot of activity in the retail space, whether it's Walmart or the others. And then down in health, we had a good day yesterday. I mean, muted, but good, positive. It was green. And today it looks like it's going to be green and positive as well. We've got transport stocks slowly on the uptick, although they were up a great deal and they fell down so that they were only up slightly by the end of the day. Oil had, for the most part, a great start to the day yesterday, and then it just fizzled off and it lost ground of all things, even with crude up. These oil stocks, the oil refining stocks, were down. So this is a surprise to me. There's no question about it. I am still a believer that oil will turn around, but it has not begun to do that. So it's a wait and see game on this one, and we'll have to wait and see. But right now, most of them are green on the screen this morning going into the open, which is in about 18 minutes. But we will have to see how that plays out. We'll have to see whether crude sticks. It's now below $74 a barrel, down at 73.91. So it's as it does, it's moving around. NVDL, which is the Granite Shares ETF for NVIDIA, the 2-to-1, it is smoking today. It is had a great day yesterday. It's got a great day again today because of the NVIDIA news. So we scroll down and see NVIDIA, we'll see that it's doing really well. Micron's up as well. Got a big new order from Micron. It was announced yesterday by the company, and so that's helping to propel that stock back up into the hundreds. That was a stock that got beaten up badly after the last quarter earnings in mid late December, and it fell down into the $80 range, and it was up in the 110 to 15 range prior to earnings or at earnings release, and then it just plummeted. And it's definitely begun a recovery, and a pretty strong one at that, thanks to its move yesterday. And again, what we're looking at today, you can see that Apple had a good day yesterday. It's off a little bit today. You've got CrowdStrike, which had a great day yesterday, but is slow, green, but not moving up as much as yesterday. And then CRM, Palo Alto, and Net all in the red or the negative yesterday, with only Net in the positive in the pre-market this morning. Um, Microsoft's back around that 430 level. So again, I kind of staying away from that. I think it'll pop up to the 445, 450 level at earnings when earnings are announced and they come in as expected or better than expected. But until then, I'm actually expecting a bit of a pullback in some of these. ARM up at 147, just outrageous. The fact that it's gone from 128 to 148 basically in the course of a couple of days. Hope you were able to catch that ride. I missed that one. You've got some of your others super strong. Shopify. So this is one I don't talk about a lot, primarily because it's Canadian, and I'm a little leery of Canadian stocks because Canadian tech stocks end up typically fading and fizzling out at some point, and you get clobbered on them. Look at BlackBerry. And uh, a number of others, Corel, etc. But Shopify has been a rocket ship, and it has recovered very nicely from about a year ago. You've got AMD, which is up on the semiconductor news, Qualcomm as well up on the semiconductor news. Workday was off yesterday. Lam Research up as well, and not as much as it had been during the day. It only was up about $4 during the day and ended up about 3, but it is up again this morning. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see whether it moves. Tesla's off this morning after having a slightly positive day yesterday. Amazon has caught a bid. I mean, it moved from the 200s up to the 227s over the course of the last little while, the last month or so. Now up slightly in the pre-market. Meta had a fabulous day yesterday, up 25, almost $26. I don't think we're going to see a similar move to that today or in the next couple of days. So I'm staying away from Meta. I sold off most of my Meta yesterday and took my gains, thinking that it's going to come back prior to earnings and then possibly pop again. And then NVIDIA up again through almost $4 there. So that's a good sign. Google had a good day yesterday. Again, I don't expect it's going to have another great day today. I think it might be up. It might hit 200 today, but I think it'll come in the 198, 199 range, but it might dip down to the 195 before it gets there. So I'll be watching that one closely. TSM, again, some great news yesterday, not really anything to bank on per se, but rumors for the most part, and out of TSM that were positive, and that sent the stock up to 220. So I think we're going to see some pretty fabulous results out of TSM. That's one that I'm looking at. I missed that spike in my main account and caught it in some of the others, but I'm going to see whether that pulls back or not going into earnings. You can see that TSM here reports, it says in 9 days. This isn't always correct, but it says on the 16th. So we'll wait and see what comes out of there. Where I'm focusing is kind of on a sector that's not being talked about at all right now, and that's financials, because they're the first to report, and most of them report in the next 2 weeks. So I'm keeping an eye on the financials to see where the right entry point is and potentially get in and hold, or just get in and then get out again, which I did a couple of times yesterday with Goldman. So at the end of the day, Goldman fell significantly down from the 589 range, which it touched yesterday, back down to the 582 range, and then bounced up to 583 to close. And I was able to snag some right at the end of the trading day. And it looks like that's going to be a tidy little profit going into the morning session. So we're going to see what happens there, whether we get a spike and it holds and continues, or whether we get a spike and then it starts to correct a little bit and then find where it stops, and if it turns and goes back up. So I'll be watching that. I released a short little video on trading Goldman yesterday and kind of my entry exit points and how I judged when to get in and when to get out. So check that out on the channel. A short little 2-minute short there. And that's where we are today on January 7th. So if you're liking these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and leave me a comment. Tell me if there's anything you'd like me to cover. Other than that,